Yo, what is going on, guys? Episode 57 of many. You've got just me today. I am, little quick update, I am working on getting some interviews scheduled so we can do more back and forth and kind of bring you some different perspectives and different stories. And let me silence my phone here. So we are going to, I'll back up. So I'm recording today. This is before I take off to, I'm actually heading to Nashville and I'm heading to Orlando. The Nashville event that I'm going to is going to be a fitness business conference style thing. So Thursday afternoon, all day Friday, all day Saturday. It's going to just be kind of a bunch of different speakers regarding the fitness industry. And some of the speakers will also be talking about, like, it's not just specific to the fitness industry. Like, for example, last year, the one I went to, they had a guy come on that was like an interior designer, but he related it to the gym industry. So just some different ideas, different angles, different ways to think of the business. They'll have certain speakers that come up and they talk more about like human resources stuff and how to hire and fire individuals and just kind of like what to look for in individuals and that kind of stuff. So it's not just like, here's how to run a gym. It's like every aspect of business and bringing it back to the fitness industry. So it'll be good to network and meet a bunch of individuals that also own gyms and see what they do. So again, today is Wednesday. I am leaving shortly after this recording. And we're going to fly out, going to kind of hang out tomorrow, find a cool gym to work out tomorrow morning, and then the conference begins. From this conference, after this conference, I go directly to Orlando. I think I talked about this like a couple episodes ago, or maybe last episode, but Patrick Bet David, really cool guy. He's got a 4-day conference, and I'm gonna absorb a bunch of knowledge from them as well. That one's more just general business and scaling and that. So the reason I'm bringing this up again is something that I think I'm going to do if G, the producer, and I can find our travel mics, and maybe we'll just do it on our phone. After each day, after each conference, or maybe during the lunch break or whatever, I want to try to, whatever little nuggets that I grab, I want to try to record them and maybe just do like a little spoof YouTube video just so it's kind of out there and kind of some good learnings from it. So the more conferences that I go to and things that I learn or takeaways, one, I can document that for myself, but then also you guys can do with that as you please. So something that I'm putting out there to maybe hold myself accountable to do that. I am to try to get some good content while I'm out there as far as grabbing some pictures, Facebook, Instagram, all of that. Something I'm still not doing a great job of. But anyways, moving on. Before we jump into today's topic, I would like to talk about working out a little bit. My personal, input. For those of you who know me very well, you know that I've got a very bad lower back. I don't want to say very bad. I'm not trying to put that out there like everybody's got to have pity. I was born with a messed up lower back. It'll give me issues. I got to go to the chiropractor a lot. Just some stuff like that. Everybody's got a bad lower back. I actually have a bad lower back though. And so when I was growing up throughout high school and college, my favorite day was always leg day. I love doing legs. I was a big, I liked power cleans. I liked heavy squats. I liked heavy deadlifts. I was, into powerlifting. I went to state my junior and senior year, right? Like I really did enjoy lifting very heavy, really heavy lunges, heavy straight leg deadlifts. Once I got to college out in Colorado, I got some x-rays done, found out I had a screwed up L5 and S1. Yeah, right. I know the top, yeah. So L5 and S1, I believe. And long story short, I was told I shouldn't be squatting heavy. I shouldn't be doing anything too crazy, load bearing on the spine and stuff like that. So I didn't really listen to that, but I kind of veered off a little bit. Basically, my lower back would have problems. I'd have to go to the chiropractor for like a week, kind of get it straightened out. Did a lot of like decompression therapy while I was out there. This is not what the episode's about. But anyways, I've now kind of, I went through my weight loss journey over the last year and a half. I've lost, 25 pounds of body fat, which really helps the lower back. And it's hard to realize that when you have just a little bit more weight on you than you should, things hurt a little bit more. You've got more inflammation. It's not working as well. Now that I've lost some more weight, I'm sitting around like 170. I am doing legs a lot more often, which is great. I also try to run a little bit more here and there. I want to start running a little bit more often, even if it's like one time a week, or doing like biking and that kind of stuff. But when doing like running and it's constant, impact, that also will irritate my lower back. So I'm trying to get around that. But again, the point of what I was going to say, as I did legs before this episode, it was a great leg day. I've been able to do it a lot more efficiently. I've been doing a lot more like belt squats. If you know what a belt squat is, we've got one over in Berlin. Instead of doing a traditional barbell squat, it's keeping that weight, around my hips versus on my back, on my shoulders. So I've been trying to experiment with that a lot more just to see how that goes and see how my lower back holds up. So got my protein shake here. That's kind of where I was going with all of that. But that's just kind of an update on my end. Leg day is my favorite day. I think now everybody likes doing arms, everybody likes doing back, chest, whatever. But legs is kind of that one muscle group that not a lot of people like to work. And it's always what I grew up loving to work because everybody literally hated it. So I guess I'm talking about my win of the day, right? Got my workout in and it was fantastic. So another update for you guys when I get back. So this episode will release on, I think, Thursday the 11th. When I get back on the 12th, that following week, I believe the 18th, I'm actually hopping on a podcast. We actually have a gym member here in Watoma that comes for day passes. She's out of Denver, Colorado. She heard a little bit about my story. She invited me to come onto her podcast. We might get her on mine as well, or on the Grizzly Life Podcast. But super excited for that, to kind of slowly start collaborating with other creators and hopping on other podcasts and sharing the story. So once I have more information on that, I will let you guys know so you guys can go hop over there, check out her channel, see what she's about. And yeah, super excited about that. That'll be recorded on the 18th, and then I think it gets released. She does a really good job of like doing her interviews and getting them pre-recorded. So I don't remember if that's going out end of September or end of October, but I'll get you guys the information on that. I would also like to touch base on Holden's podcast. I believe, I'm hoping you guys watched the Holden episode that released a couple episodes ago. Holden is a friend of mine growing up throughout high school, played football together. I'm really happy to see him. I'm talking to him on a day-to-day basis. We're making some huge strides. He just sent me a message today, which again, you guys are hearing this a little bit later, but he's on like he's on like 2 weeks of like no candy, no soda, no sugar, right? Which is like a huge win for him. Something that he loved, that was in his diet daily. So huge win for him. We intend on doing probably one episode a month with him, bringing him on and just talking about his current journey, where he's at, where he's going, how his weight loss is doing, what he's changed and how that's going. I want people to be able to relate to him. I want people to be motivated by him. I want people to share his story with other people maybe in his shoes that are scared to make the change, because it's a really cool story. So we intend on having him back on the end of September when I get back as well. He has his own weight goal to hit by the end of September. So he also has he has to walk 1 mile with no stopping by the end of September as well. So I'm hoping to have him on right after. So maybe it'll be like the very first week of October or something. But we're going to have him on right after that walk. And hopefully he hits his weight goal. I'm very confident that he will. And I'm confident that he'll be able to walk 1 mile without stopping. When we originally set his 1 mile without stopping goal, he set it out for like 6 months in advance or something. And I'm like, dude, like, no, we have to do that now. Let's do 6 weeks. So 1 mile, no stopping, end of September. I think he wants to be down to 440 by the end of September. So another 22 pounds, I think, since our recording or whatever, since we released his first episode. So he's super excited. I hope that you guys listening are also tuning into his story, giving him some support, giving the channel some support. The more people that he has on his team, the more likely he is to succeed. So I want you guys to help us out with that. Today's lesson or thing that I want to talk about, this isn't going to be a massively long episode. I'm just kind of giving you guys some updates and then give you guys kind of one lesson or one takeaway. So I'm reading a book by Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. It is called, and I bought like a bunch of books by Benjamin Hardy because I listened to a podcast by him. It was phenomenal. And I believe the book is called 10X is Easier Than 2X. Let me verify that for any of you who might want to read the book yourself. 10X is Easier Than 2X. Dan Sullivan, founder of Strategic Coach with Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Okay. I'm 2 chapters in, so I haven't finished the book. I'm not giving you guys a summary. But I want to compare this mindset and mentality to our 1% better. So for those of you that know, our 1% better mentality here at the Grizzly Life is more of like a compounding, one day at a time, doing what it takes to win. Now, I don't want you to think if you are currently getting only 2,000 steps in a day, that if you up it to 3,000 steps a day and do that for the rest of your life, that you're being 1% better. That's not necessarily what I mean when I say 1% better, right? The goal is small positive change that turns into habits, and then you can continue building on that and growing that. So, for example, if you can do 0 push-ups and you're going to start doing knee push-ups for the next, couple days, couple weeks, couple months, that slowly those knee push-ups, you're doing 5 a day, 10 a day, 20 a day, that it turns into regular push-ups, 5 push-ups, 10 push-ups, 20 push-ups a day, right? So our goal is to continue building and growing. Now, it doesn't also mean that today I do 10,000 steps, tomorrow I do 10,001, the next day 10,002, 10,500, 11,000. We're not going on like this pattern of exponential growth, and this is all 1% better is about being the best version of yourself, right? So now there are times that you need major mind shift changes, and that's kind of where this 10x is easier than 2x mind shift comes into play. But I want you to understand the 1% better is to make sure you're doing things day to day to improve your daily life, this would be your reading on a day-to-day basis, increasing your knowledge, increasing, your literacy rate, those things, right? So you're reading, you're going outside for a fresh air walk, getting sunlight, just being a better version of yourself than you were yesterday, right? So again, continually growing that, working up to something bigger, working up to something larger than yourself, finding a bigger goal to kind of work on, and setting a goal out there and working to achieve that, right? So this is all kind of like that 1% better mentality. So the 10x is easier than 2x mentality. This is very interesting in business and in life. To explain it in business terms, let's say we sit down for our year-end meeting. Let's say we did $1 million this year, and let's say we want to 2x doesn't necessarily mean double, but let's just say we want to do 2 million next year. It's not a big enough mindset shift to like drastically change anything, right? So if we want to go from 1 million to 2 million, or 100,000 to 200,000, 10,000 to 20,000, however you want to look at it, you're not. And maybe 1 million to 2 million is a bad idea because that still seems like a really big jump. So let's talk like 10,000 to 20,000 or 50,000 to 100,000, whatever, right? Just a small double. When we think of this, we're thinking of what we're currently doing and how do we do a little bit more of it. So what they say is on average when you're trying to do this 2x mindset is you're just going to work a little bit harder at what you're currently doing. So if I am a lawn care guy, maybe I'm going to put in 5 extra hours a week and that's going to help me get to my 2x level. Maybe I'm just going to, maybe I'm going to work an extra 20 hours a week and that's going to get me to my 2x. So this 2x mentality usually causes you to work a lot harder and do everything you're already doing and just do more of it, which a lot of people do. And that's just what a lot of people do. I'm guilty. When we do our year-end meetings, our goal is to increase revenues by, 10%, 20%, right? And we're thinking very small. We're thinking like, how do we just be a little bit better than we were last year? Well, if we continue to have that mindset of how do we do a little bit better than we were last year, where do we want to go and what's our true goal in life? How do we improve? How do we scale? And this is, again, we can take this on a personal level too. So the 10x mindset is like, how do we create an impossible goal? What is something that seems crazy, right? And this would be going from like, 1 million to 10 million, 1 million to, again, the 10x is like just a extreme goal. So it doesn't necessarily be 10 times, but some of the examples in the book are well, maybe we're servicing a $2,000 a month client, and maybe our new goal should be $10,000 a month clients, right? Like maybe our new goal should be $20,000 a month clients. How do we scale and grow or whatever, right? So I'm just throwing some stuff out there, but the thought here is that you create such a large goal, such something that is so seems impossible today, that what it does to your mind is you basically cut out all of the bullshit, all the stuff that you shouldn't be doing, all the things you shouldn't be wasting your time on, they become obsolete. You don't think of, and so they use the 80-20 rule. 80% of your time, you're dealing with is 80% of customers that really aren't necessarily worth the time, or they're a pain in the ass. And again, this can be a personal life. Maybe you're spending 80% of your time doing these things that don't really benefit you. And then there's this 20% that's kind of like the 20% of customers you really want to work with, or the 20% of things you really need to be doing and focusing on. So again, when you have such a massive goal in mind, let's say, for example, we want 50 gyms by the end of next year, right? Let's just use a number like that. To me, that's absurd, right? We have 6 gyms currently. How would we, for the sake of the number, how do we do 60 gyms by the end of next year? And maybe 3 years, whatever. How do we grow so large so fast? By thinking like this, you start thinking about all of the things that you're wasting your time on. Well, maybe I shouldn't be, me personally, maybe I shouldn't be the guy that goes to the post office. Maybe I shouldn't be the guy that's writing the checks. Maybe I can outsource that. Maybe I shouldn't be dealing with the customers that I have to deal with on Priority Fitness's side of things, and maybe I should have somebody else taking care of that. So it's like kind of delegating some of these tasks and then going for the bigger picture, right? So maybe what I should be doing is calling all these gyms across the country and seeing what gyms are interested in selling. Maybe find some other mom and pop shops that would be a really good fit for Grizzly Fitness and figure out how to partner with them or how to bring them under our umbrella or whatever, right? Like, again, this is just I'm throwing this out there as an idea, right? You would stop thinking about all of the things that you don't need to be doing and really go all in on the things that you need to be doing in order to get what you want to do. So this mindset is very valuable. The 1% better, and in a book that I recommend is Atomic Habits by James Clear, the 1% better mentality kind of goes with the Atomic Habits. It's slow change and, just becoming a better version of yourself. We'll continue saying that. The 10X mindset, again, is just massively different. And I like thinking in that spot. How do you achieve more? How do you go out and just do it? So I think it's a very good read. I think it's worth reading. While I'm reading it, it almost feels like it's rewiring my brain. Like I feel like I'm reading things on repeat, but then I feel like my brain has already read that sentence, but now it's already repeating it to myself. And it's just very interesting. It's giving me more thoughts, more ideas. And again, it's personally and it's business. Obviously, my first thought is business, right? Instead of thinking, how do we find 5 more clients, 10 more gym members? How do we find 100 more gym members? Because I bet whatever it takes us to get to that number, we're going to do the one thing that would really count. Oftentimes, if we use gym members for an example, you're thinking, how do we find another 5 members, 10 members? And you kind of look at everything you're doing and you're like, all right, well, let's do another Facebook ad. Let's do another newspaper ad. Let's do another, little fundraiser, whatever. If you think bigger, how do I find 1,000 more gym members or 500 or 100 more gym members? You're going to find that one thing that you think is going to be like the biggest return on investment, the biggest thing that helps benefit the business and brings in the most clients. So again, just a really interesting mindset shift. So if we wanted to do this personally, something that, would be so absurd to like me, instead of saying I want to run, a small goal would be like, hey, I want to run a 5K by the end of the year. Okay. And I'm not like saying cardio or fitness is super easy by any means, but for me personally, I know I can run 2-ish miles without stopping, assuming I'm not like doing hills and stuff, assuming it's not an extremely tough course. I can do 2 miles. I could do 3 miles by the end of the year, right? Like I could do that. Now, a 10X goal would be, how do I do a marathon by the end of next year, right? Like an extreme, something that would get me way out of my comfort zone, something that would force me to do great things. And so you can, and it doesn't need to be just fitness, but again, this 10x mindset of not thinking so small. Like example, for like Holden's sake, Holden goes, I want to walk a mile without stopping in 6 months. It's like, dude, that goal is way too small and way too far out. Like that is not, like we can achieve way more in way shorter amounts of time. So let's speed that up. One other thing I'll say as an example, because I thought this one was really cool. On the podcast I was listening to prior to reading this book, Dr. Benjamin Hardy goes, he was meeting with this kid, right? This kid was like in his young 20s or mid 20s. And he's talking to him about like goals in life. And one of his goals in life was to own what they do as like a skill or as a tool is create like a crazy goal, like a unbelievable, never going to achieve it, like just something like way far out. I forget the specific term they use, but basically a goal that it's a stupid goal, like basically, right? And so his stupid goal was to own a professional soccer team, right? And the guy goes, okay, cool. That's a great goal. Like that's very, very large goal. How long is it going to take you to achieve that? And he goes, I want to achieve that by the time I'm 55. And he basically goes like, that's never going to happen. Like that's way too far out. And you're going to basically take your time getting there, right? Because it's so far out. He said, why don't we try to do that in 5 years time? And that mindset shift is like, holy cow, like how do I even conceptualize that? How do I even go about doing that? Like that would be insane, right? So now your mind starts going like this insanity, like what do I do? How do I do it? And you're going to realize a lot of that downtime that you're wasting and just kind of coasting through life. And I'm not saying this is for everybody. I'm not saying everybody needs to be extremely motivated and shoot for the stars and land on the moon. Like I'm not saying we need to do these crazy things, but I'm going through this mental shift right now and it's very interesting. How do we, taking a professional soccer team from 30 years from now to 5 years from now, holy cow, like what would I physically do in order to do that? And your brain starts thinking of these ideas and these thoughts and like, how can we accomplish it with what we're currently doing? The things we should be changing. Maybe I would be doing a lot more. Again, you're thinking about not living your life with regrets, right? And so this would just be another one of those things where, if you have a goal in life, if you want to achieve something, stop pushing it off and let's define that goal and really go for it. So it's a good book. I think it's worth a read if you guys are interested in it. 10X is easier than 2X. Listening to Benjamin Hardy on podcasts is really great too. So if you've been scared to take the leap, I think this is a good mindset shift to think about, right? 1% better, compounding yourself every day, being a little bit better, doing what you can to just improve compared to yesterday. Knowledge, fitness, health, whatever it may be. And then this 10X mindset shift to become the best version of you. So that is today's lesson. I want you guys to sleep on that. Think about it. Think about what your true goal, maybe what your true mission is in life, what you're here on this earth to do. Think about those kinds of things and really define what you want in life. So I appreciate you guys. We'll see you when we get back from Nashville and Orlando. And thank you for tuning in.